All right, how does one put 930 watts of solar onto an 18-foot Airstream? Well, we did it. We're feeling good about it. I did a couple other videos kind of talking about the idea and then building the contraption, and now it is installed. So I'll go over the install and I'll take you up there to show you what it looks like. We'll continue a walk around so you can see what it's like. We'll put the panels in and out. And then we'll talk about, is it capable of doing AC? Technically, 900 watts, definitely not enough for AC, but we'll show you, I'll show you me using it, I guess. Well, let's take you to the other side first so you can see that there's another wing. So one goes in a little bit lower, the other one goes a little bit higher. We are on an Airstream, which would probably be the most technically challenging because it's curved. So we have a decent amount of space underneath that's just kind of helping to deal with that curve. Maybe it's up a little bit higher, but it's not up higher than the air conditioner. So we did not actually add any height to this whole system. It could have been a little bit more shorter, I suppose. I guess you consider this a sort of prototype, especially if you consider that maybe we can create them if there's enough interest. And having already done the prototype saves, like, it makes the next one so much better, which we now know all the ways to make it better. We have 310 watt sun power solar panels. I'm going to take you up there now on my really nice telescoping ladder, which I love a lot. So it isn't an automated system. I have seen an automated system, which was a lot easier because they were only going out one direction. So way easier on that case. But we're doing manual, and we've got some serious heavy duty slides. Let me take you up there and show you. Here are the slides. Technically, here, like, they are a decent size or a little bit bigger and then the actual panels themselves. Now, if we found panels that didn't have as much aluminum around the sides, we definitely go for some smaller slides. We go for smaller slides anyways, because it's your 360 pound. They support 360 pounds even at 44 inches. So, and these are 42-inch wide panels. So, and you can see the lock out and lock in mechanism. This is very secure. It is locked out. Let's take you a step higher. You can see that there is a panel in the middle. And technically, look here, we aren't just working with an 18-foot Airstream that part of the feet is, 1 foot is the bumper and a few feet is the hitch. So we've got even less than that, but we have this here and that there. So we're actually technically working with only 65 inches. So we found these sun powers, which are 62 or so inches. We could have gone a little bit larger. I mean, obviously we could have moved that, but who wants to do all that sort of work? We're definitely clearing the fridge vent up here. And I guess if you already have a AC up top, you already have a height that you're okay going up to. So we made this maybe a little bit higher than it actually needed to be. I have the other videos talk about the setup and the build of all this, at least for the prototype thread logger in there. And these are attached really, really well with not just screws, but very good like M6 and M8 bolts. Take you up another step so that we can show you the other side as well. One of the things that happens here, if you look down here, is it's like 10 in the morning and we still have a little bit of shade. So a prototype is this way. In the original, in any future version, we would definitely recommend the slides to go out a couple more inches. So these are 42-inch panels. I got 44-inch slides. My recommendation is certainly to go a few more inches beyond that. So I would have gone with 46-inch slides perhaps. All right, let's go up. All right, so we're gonna hit this one, pop it up a little bit, move it in a tad, go over to this one, change my hands if it's not as easy to do with one hand. All right, there we go, slides in. Let me show you another thing about the prototype that we would change differently is we thought about hiding these and they go all the way in and lock. So now you saw that they lock. But getting to them is a pain. Also, these slides don't, I wish this was down and you could hit that, but I don't know why it's up. And then pulling them out is kind of a pain. Obviously, totally doable. And then let's give it one last lock in. Nice and locked in. Okay. Actually, I wanted to show you inside of there. So I pushed it in a little bit so that I can peek the camera in there. All right, another video talks about the creation, install, and the metal and all that stuff. We're gonna clean off the metal here pretty soon and make it look nice and clean off the solar panels and tidy up the wires. But we also have a lot of decent amount of airflow when they're, especially when they're out. As I've said, I don't think I've said it, but it's been 100-degree days recently. The cords, though, was probably one of the more interesting challenges. And it's not self-actuated, so there's no actuator, it's not automated. An automated system is perhaps doable, but obviously all of the engineering to add in the actuators, to buy the actuators, to power either with electricity, which I guess you have, or, you know, from the batteries, that sort of stuff, or air, which I don't have an air system in this, so air wouldn't make as much sense. All right, let me take you inside a little bit. So you got these flanges that come out and they are bent at an angle to handle the Airstream. I put silicone, in this case gray silicone. Probably if I had clear, I would use that instead. But I put silicone so that no water or condensation would get underneath the metal, between the two metals. But I also, if you look, I didn't fill up every hole, but I think you'll see some rivets in there. And actually, this is a rib, so we put a big rivet in here. There it is. So we put in a few rivets. There was a lot of holes to put in a lot, but we didn't do that because we are using this tape. This is actually, on this side, I put 2 layers going down like this. Then I was like, I think that's overkill. Because taking that tape off is a pain in the future. Let's push this out, then I want to show you that tape. Also, coming around the sides, we got the wires coming out with grommets going to the other side. I still need to tidy all that up. Pulling this panel out is pretty easy. Didn't take long at all, one hand for sure, here on my ladder. I mean, would I want edition number 2? First of all, it's attached up there pretty good. That's not, I get the prototype. That's not coming off, not easily. So edition number 1 is pretty stuck up there. But edition number 2, automated, I mean, that just adds a lot of price, a lot of complexity to it. It's doable, but I just don't know. Also, an added benefit is the shade, which is pretty cool. Once I see a little tiny line in here, it means that I know for sure that the panel is getting full electric. I showed you up top, I showed you how it comes in and out. One of the other things that I'm gonna do, I know they lock in, but I do not want to trust those for when I'm going around a corner or something like that. That would be bad. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna take one of these and then, actually this direction, and then I'll put it here so that that piece of metal sticks out and they could not come out that way because it will be attached nicely. And the gravity will keep it down. We don't have to depend on these latches. The other option were these hardcore rubber bungees to keep it secure, or a big, huge latch. I mean, that's if you kind of want to lock it, but it would work. I just think it's overkill. When I want something quick and simple to put up there, and to unlatch and to put away to the side, like part of the reason for 360-pound sliders, which are overkill even for the reason, is wind. You could just put them away when there's a lot of wind. and I do that with really strong winds. I think I've been in areas up on mountains when it's like 60 mile an hour winds easily, and it rocks the whole entire Airstream. I think I would put them in anyways, but I've been in 15, 20, 30 mile, well 20, but I think up to 30, 40, 50, this would handle it decently, some gusts. But if it's really, really stormy, it probably means it's cloudy. I'd probably put these away anyways. Oh, I forgot to point out when I was up top that the top one has some metal attached, riveted all to the sides here. And it has, I'm going to be putting metal screws, quite a bunch of them along the side, so that I can still have decently quick access instead of rivets where I have to drill out to get back inside. So I'll just put metal screws on the top one. We have somewhat of a sun awning, which is pretty cool. So I can stand out here a little bit of ways, put a chair out, have a little bit of shade. If you were to have a much bigger vehicle, you could definitely put way more than the 930 watts up there. And you could use, we could put some bigger panels if you had, I only have 65 inches, but there are some really high, like 400 watt, maybe even a little bit bigger if you just had a few more inches to the side. And I don't think it matters going out that way. Those slides are plenty good for it. So I guess what I'm saying is with just 6 more inches or so of space, you could essentially have 1200 watts up there. Now, what does 930 watts of solar really do for you? I'm going to do some geeky tests. So if you're looking at the installation and seeing about this in general, this is, I guess, where we stop. Except for I needed to show you the tape. I have put up things on that roof before with this tape, and it does not come off. Not easily. It takes hours and hours to get it off. I've done it twice. Don't want to do that again. I'll show you also the last failed experiment before we go in and get techie, geeky, like talking about electrical. You know how people say to not use these flexible panels? They aren't that good. I agree with them. They suck. They broke. They deteriorated. They're not good. Don't put them up there, especially on a metal roof. At least not the cheap ones like that. I know that there are some new ones that are a little bit better, but they're very, very expensive. This is way cheaper. So, yeah, way cheaper than some of those new fancy flat ones. Also, new fancy flat ones won't do this, will they? All right, I'm sitting inside the Airstream. Don't mind the mess. It's been, obviously a construction zone. I've got a computer going. I've got a fridge going. I've got a light going. I've got 2 of these fans going and just a bunch of hard drives and other random things, right? And I will show you what we are using. We are using 13.7 amps of energy off of my 24 volt system. So if you times that by whatever, 24, 25, that's how many watts we've got going. I think quick math is 270, 280 watts. So that's what's going on here. I do not have the solar plugged in, and the shore power is also, the switch is off. So it is counting it right now, but I have to turn on the breaker switch to let it actually come into the Airstream. So what we're gonna do is turn on the solar. Remember this number, 13.7. All right, the solar is on. It is 10 in the morning. We are positive 8.8, so 13.7 plus 8.8. That's something around 22.5 amps. We have 105 amp hours of lithium batteries. We're actually thinking of doubling those amount of batteries now that we have more solar to charge it. So we have the Lion Energy Safari 1300s, and we have 2 of them. So we're looking at maybe going up to 4 of them. Also, always keep in mind that this number represents a 24 volt system, okay? Which is very different than a 12, times those numbers times 2. So when the solar, obviously the other caveat that I wanted to share is that the other panel had a tiny bit of shade on it. So that's about to be done, and you'll see this number jump up. I have been seeing with 930 watts of panel, what have I seen? I have seen a little over 800 watts. So that's about 270 watts a panel. And it is hot, which means if it wasn't so dang hot, they'd be performing even better. And obviously they're not angled, they're never going to be angled. That's still really good. It is June, so that's another thing to consider. The sun is out there shining pretty straight down, I suppose, and very long days. Okay, so we've got 9 amps of extra even after running everything. I'm guessing this early in the day, how many watts are we getting? So it's 13 plus 9 is 22 times 25. I did the quick math, 22.5 amps times 25.5 volts. We're looking at 570 watts right now, early in the morning at 10:25. So we are roughly missing about half of a decent amount of our solar, let's say that. The next big thing is we're going to turn that guy on. In case you're wondering how, it's not going to be run off of solar completely. Obviously solar is in DC and the air conditioner is an AC or 120 volt system. So we have a Victron Energy 24 volt 3000 VA 70 amps system going on here. So remember, we had 13.5 plus now this is slowly going up, so 9.3. So we're at like 23 amp hours, and we're going to turn that on. It handles the initial startup phase just fine, and that's on the Victron. That's being able to do that. So now we are down negative 54. So what does that mean that the air conditioner does? So we were at 9 plus, now we're down to 50 minus. So the air conditioner is looking at around 60 as it keeps going. It's maybe going to creep up there a little bit. Obviously, well, it's creeping down. Oh no, that's creeping up, sorry. So that's 63, 64. I'm going to guess somewhere around 70. Another way to put that is the solar was bringing in around 550 right now, this early in the morning. We were already using close to 300 for other stuff. So there's only about 250 watts of solar going to the air conditioner. So an air conditioner, what, 1300 watts at least? Well, this is where it gets fun. We're actually going to turn on shore power and take in we're using just regular crappy extension cords. So I want to make sure the voltage doesn't drop too much and I don't put too much power through 100 feet away from the house. So we're going to limit it to about around 7 amps of 120 volt. Okay, 7 amps of, well, this should drop down because we're just using regular extension cables. So yeah. All right, I turned on the shore power. So we're getting power from the house around 7. So it's supplying 730 watts from the house. Remember, 250-ish watts are coming from the solar. And we've got everything running. And we are still going down 19, just so you know, but at least it's not 60. So in any case, with another rack of the solar, you would be just fine. And you could put the fridge to propane and not have a big huge computer. Anyways, how does that all sound? Yeah, and maybe we'll create these. If you had a bigger trailer, you could definitely have another line of it. If you have a very wide trailer, then you probably don't need 3. You may just need 2. One goes out this way. Well, yeah, 3 stacked. You just need 1 stacked underneath, and then you can have another one on the other side. I don't know, your system and what also you feel comfortable for attaching. I suppose before getting too excited, let's drive it do a cross-country trip. Let's drive down the freeway, make sure everything still works. I guess I can do a recap video of that. What do you think? Do you think it's all going to work? Big, huge mistake? I don't know. Well, I do know. I think it's going to work just fine. What I do know is that I don't actually use air conditioner too much, but today is going to be 100 degrees, so I am going to do that. Usually when it's 100 degrees, I get the H out of town, right? I get out of Dodge. I go up to the mountains, but I am here at a family's place. I did think, oh, let's get the generator up and running, and that means a new battery. Those things are expensive, by the way. It is set up to use propane. I don't know if I've ever shown that, so I probably took off too much, but I got to the battery. I also wanted to look at some other things and have my engineer brother and my nephew take a look at getting this thing so it starts up real fast. The battery definitely was the biggest issue. So anyways, when you combine this, then you will definitely, and the solar, you could definitely run AC all day long if you wanted, because the propane could run all day long if you wanted. If you want the geeky specs, the generator with propane, so it's a little underpowered when it's got the propane, it will usually easily give me 15 to 17 amps, which is pretty much enough to run the AC, but then you don't want to run too many other things. Now with this, I could be running the AC, my computer, the fridge, and charging my batteries if I have the generator going. What's next on the Airstream? I'll be replacing these after 3 or 4 years with a new product, a new metal product that should be able to withstand 24/7 solar onto it. I'm also going to clean up the construction zone inside of here. I'm going to untangle, sort out the wires to make them really nice. Oh, I got to put that little latch thing on to make sure that they don't come out and stuff like that. And of course, put the generator back together. At 18, 19, that should work pretty well for a number of hours. If I go somewhere, it'll charge things back up really quickly. I could also get a better cable and start pulling, 12, 13 amps from the house, and then I am completely covered. Hope you enjoyed it, found it educative. Let us know if you think that this is actually a cool product. Could it be a product more than just me uses? All right, hope you enjoyed it.